Bhagavate Vas Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you so much for joining today. We wanted to seek the blessings of Radha Damodara, Radha Shamsundar, Radha Madhav, Krishna Balaram, Bal Gopal, Gaunita, Srila Prabhupada, Guru Maharaj, and the assembly devotees. So we've been talking about the position of Damodar, who he is, non different from Krishna. So yesterday we looked at the Lord's supremacy as mentioned in the revealed scriptures and how Krishna is in charge of the devatas and how he himself describes his position as a supreme in the Bhagavad Gita. Today we want to look at how his divinity is demonstrated, and then hopefully we'll have a look at a few other aspects. The Lord's qualities enumerated, his description provided, his history, he has been seen, and his address. So let's have a look at number 4. His divinity is demonstrated. Anyone can claim to be God, but who can actually prove it to protect innocent people from impostors? Arjun asked Lord Krishna to prove his divinity. Lord Krishna granted Arjun divine vision and revealed his spectacular unlimited forms as the cosmic universe. That's the universal form. Thus, Vaishnavas argue that he conclusively established his divinity. And this is one of the verses in the Bhagavad Gita, or 2 verses, 3 verses. Arjun saw in that universal form unlimited mouths, unlimited eyes, unlimited wonderful visions. The form was decorated with many celestial ornaments and bore many divine upraised weapons. He wore celestial garlands and garments, and many divine scents were smeared over his body. All was wondrous, brilliant, unlimited, all expanding. If hundreds of thousands of suns were to rise at once in the sky, their radiance might resemble the effulgence of the Supreme Person in that universal form. That's 11th canto, 10 to 12 verse. So that's the universal form. In each incarnation, Lord Krishna proved that he's God, details of which can be found in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Here we will focus on this incarnation 5,000 years ago. So simply we look at Lord Krishna's activities to show his divinity. Krishna performed miracles that no other being can perform. When Krishna was 7 years old, he lifted a mountain 26 miles in perimeter and held it with his one left hand, in fact, left hand, for 7 days, as witnessed by thousands of people standing under the mountain. Lord Krishna expanded his body into 16,108 forms, which means duplicating himself, 16,108 in identical bodies, who simultaneously could do any activity they wanted. So they could act differently. One would be eating, one would be enjoying with his children, one would be playing chess, like that. So many different activities he was doing. It wasn't that he expanded himself, he can only do one activity, all of them, all the forms could do only one activity. No, they all did different things. Lord Krishna transformed himself into others, e.g., for example, when Brahma kidnapped the cowherd boys and calves, Krishna expanded himself as the calves and the cowherd boys. And the parents and the cows, the mother cows, they had so much affection for this cowherd boy. And they were always wondering, why do I love my child even more now than I did before? Lord Krishna showed in his mouth the universal form to Yashoda. Lord Krishna killed all the wicked kings who were tormenting and harassing the public. People were saved in this very life and didn't have to wait for the day of judgment. So this is the universal form. This is Yashodamai showing Krishna, universal form as well. When Draupadi was being disrobed in the court of kings, she called out to Lord Krishna for help, and he supplied her with unlimited saris, and thus she could not be disrobed. Many atheists tried to kill Lord Krishna, but he very easily defeated them all and also gave them liberation. Lord Krishna is very merciful. He gives liberation even to those who try to kill him. This is the beauty of the Lord. He's neutral in that sense. He gives everybody the opportunity. So if somebody is thinking of him in a negative way, even that thinking is actually purifying that soul. Of course, we don't want to think about God in a negative way. Lord Krishna brought back to life many dead people, including the 6 children of Devaki. Lord Krishna cured diseased people, including transforming a hunchback woman into a most beautiful woman in return for offering sandalwood pulp to the Lord. So these are incidences which show the divinity of Krishna. And you don't need that much faith to believe all this, because if you go to Vrindavan, you will see Govardhan is there, very unique hill. And you can see different pastimes of the Lord that took place there. Okay, the 5th reason why Krishna is regarded as the supreme. His qualities are enumerated. He has 64 qualities, which are all described in the Vedic scriptures. Of course, the Lord has unlimited qualities, but these are 64 prominent identified qualities. In contrast to this, Vishnu has 60 qualities. Shiva has 55, Brahma has 50. So this gives an idea from an analytical point of view, how Krishna is higher in one sense, even more than Vishnu. Even though Vishnu is an incarnation or an expansion of Krishna, yet Krishna's qualities surpass even Vishnu's. And Lord Shiva is unique in himself. Shiva Tattva is special Tattva, but he has 5 less qualities than Vishnu. And Lord Brahma, he is considered to be like an ordinary living entity, but one who has been empowered with special Shakti to create the universe. So Brahma can never become Shiva. Shiva can never become Vishnu. Although Vishnu, when he connects with this material world, he can become Shiva. This is the unique position of the divinity. Bhagwan is also full of 6 opulences: beauty, strength, knowledge, renunciation, wealth, and fame. So some people may have 1 or 2 of these qualities, but God has these qualities, all of them, in full. Chanting 1,000 names of Vishnu are equal to chanting 1 name of Ram. And chanting 3 names of Ram is equal to chanting 1 name of Krishna. So if we simply say Krishna, we have chanted the equivalent to 3,000 names of Vishnu. It shows the power of the name of Krishna. So that's number 5. Number 6, the Lord's description is provided. How can you believe in someone without actually seeing them or knowing what they look like? Lord Krishna has a form which has been described in detail in the Brahma Samhita, Srimad Bhagavatam, many other scriptures. His form is just like a human being. Even the Christian Bible states that man is made in the image of God. This means God is a person with 2 hands, 2 legs, sometimes 4 hands. Humans are made in his image. It's not the other way around. It's not that God is made in our image. No, we are made in his image. His complexion is dark blue, that of a rain-filled cloud. And that's described in the Brahma Samhita. There's a very nice verse actually that describes this. Venam kwanantam haravindam dalayataksham parhavatam samasitam buddha sundarangam kandapakoti kamaniya vishesha shobham govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. His eyes are like lotus petals. He is ever youthful, always eternally a 16-year-old boy. He likes to play the flute. He can play the flute like nobody else. That's something that distinguishes him from anybody, everybody. He wears a peacock feather in his crown. He wears the kastuba jewel around his neck. He wears yellow garments. He's got broad shoulders and chest. He's got a deep navel point. His curly hair reaches his shoulders. Magnificent smile he has, wearing it always come what may. He's full of bliss and his beauty excels that of thousands of cupids. His black eye, lotus shape. He has a deep, heavy, deep voice, and he's got sharp features. So this is a very interesting description. And this, we should bear this in mind, because it's always nice to have the darshan of the Lord outside and also inside, within ourselves. We can constantly be remembering the Supreme Lord. Beautiful. Number 7, the Lord's history dates back to billions of years as described in the scriptures. Further details of the past of the Lord Krishna in each of his incarnations can be found in the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Vedic scriptures contain the history of Lord Krishna dating back to billions of years. And he himself actually says in the Bhagavad Gita how he had instructed the science of the Bhagavad Gita to Vivaswan, the sun god, millenniums ago. And Vivaswan had described those teachings to Ikshvaku. And then Krishna describes to Arjuna how in due course of time this knowledge was lost. And now again, 5,000 years ago, he gave this knowledge again to Arjuna, so it wouldn't be lost. Supreme has been seen. Lord Krishna has incarnated many times in the current cycle of creation. In each incarnation, millions saw him or see him. Krishna appeared himself 5,000 years ago. Archaeologists have found the city where he lived in Dwarka as described in the Vedic scriptures. NASA has taken satellite pictures of the bridge between India and Bharat and Sri Lanka that Lord Krishna built in his Ram incarnation, some 1.7 million years ago. So, very interesting. There's a lot of proof. If you care to research, care to search for the proof, there's lots. The Lord's address is known in the spiritual world. The Srimad Bhagavatam gives the address of Lord Krishna as the topmost planet, shaped like a lotus called Golok Vrindavan in the spiritual sky. And here it is. This is Golok. And this description, the address is given, a lot of the information is given in the Srimad, in the Brahma Samhita. So sometimes we have this discussion about whether there's, in Hinduism, there's one God or many gods. So I think it's important to understand this point philosophically. Is this a monotheistic or polytheistic religion? Monotheistic, one God, polytheistic, many gods. Actually, it's not that straightforward. It's neither of those. Of course, the original form of God is Krishna. He has an eternal, blissful, spiritual body. He's the origin of all. He has no other origin. He's a prime cause of all causes. But let's have a look at this monotheistic or polytheistic view. Well, Bhagavad Gita states there's one God. But the Vedic concept of God goes a little bit beyond this monotheistic philosophy. And Krishna doesn't necessarily expand on it on the Bhagavad Gita, in the Bhagavad Gita. There's no need for it. But if we look at different scriptures and Puranas, we'll see that there are many forms of that one God, right? Many forms. Polymorphic monotheism, which means one God, but many forms, polymorphic. But there are also many personalities who are intermediaries. They're like, we know them as devatas or demigods. So we could say that this is a multi-layered polymorphic monotheism. The demigods are not independent of the Supreme Lord. They are dependent. They're devotees of God, in fact. So we don't disrespect them. But we don't treat them like God either. We treat them as great servants of God. So this concept, if we include the devatas within the concept of the divinity, then we can see it's a multi-layered polymorphic monotheism. So monotheistic, one God. Polymorphic, many forms of that one God. Multi-layered means there are many agents of that one God. But there's also the divine couple, Radha, Krishna. So that one supreme soul manifests in two forms, which means by monotheism. One God, but actually coming as a divine couple. So you could say, I mean, this is a little bit more complex interpretation of divinity. The Vedic concept of God is multi-layered, polymorphic by monotheism. So if one can remember this, of course, to explain this is not so easy, but it's a more complete understanding of the system of Godhead, which is very complex, very powerful. And it's good to understand this. But in simple terms, one God, many forms. But if you want to go a little bit more deeper, then this is a very interesting way to explain divinity. So what's the conclusion of all this? Well, everybody's looking for God. There's plenty of evidence that Lord Krishna is God. So I wanted to stop there, and we can continue tomorrow with, we're going to talk about different names of Krishna. He's got primary names, secondary names, and what's the difference between them? Which names should we be focusing on, chanting on, like that? So we'll talk about that tomorrow. Any questions about what we've discussed today, what we've presented today? Okay, thank you so much. Shri Krishna Chandra Bhagavan ki jai.